Today, I'm joined by John Hetherington, a technology strategist, international speaker, and a founder of We Deliver Your Vision. John's helped companies across the UK, US, and Canada use technology and AI to move faster, make smarter decisions, and actually see what's happening inside their business, something most of us could use way more of. We're going to unpack his story, his move from the UK to Calgary, and what he's learned about leadership and building systems that work for you, not against you, and maybe even a little 80s metal and dog agility training mixed in. John, welcome to Retaining Purpose.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, pumped to be here. Looking forward to chatting more.
Yeah, so I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. The big move from the UK to Calgary. How long have you been in Calgary now? And more importantly, do you have rocks in your pockets today? Because I don't know what it's like in Calgary, but it is windy down here.
Yes, it is. And that's, interestingly, I noticed it's being less windy in Calgary since the 20 years we've been here than in the UK, where you get the North Sea winds, and the Atlantic winds, which are quite fierce. But we could rewind 20 years now since I came in. So actually 25 years. Let's go back to year 2000, because after the whole Y2K and .com boom, I was 5 years married, house in the suburbs, career, and thought I'd made it, and realized that life wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it would be. And then out of the blue, we got a curveball because my wife was actually diagnosed with cancer. She's a survivor. She survived it, but we realized life is too short. We need to do something different. And that's when joined Ernst Young, and always had the goal of living and working in a different country. And because Ernst Young had offices in both Australia and Canada, it was a choice between the white sand of Australia and the white snow of Canada. But
I'm questioning you a little bit right now, but that was 25 years ago. We'll grace you on that one.
Yes, but it's always had a soft spot for the ocean, and loved the idea of moving to Vancouver, like I guess most people do coming to Canada. But my skills were actually best placed in Toronto, so had the fortunate opportunity to join Nortel and work with those folks for a couple of years. And then it was actually my wife's job who got the opportunity to move to Calgary, and yeah, here we are 20 years later and haven't looked back since, and still haven't quite made it to Vancouver.
Yeah. So what were you doing at Ernst Young? What was the move that brought you here?
Yeah, so started in the UK. Actually, it was a lot of the SOX, so Sarbanes-Oxley of the early 2000s and the Enron scandal. So into 2004, 2005, doing assurance and specifically technology audits on companies was what I was an expert in, still am, but found that loved working for big organizations at the time. I've actually since now have much more fun working for small, medium companies. But at the time in the UK, getting to travel around Europe, so London, Manchester, Paris, Germany, and Frankfurt, and all these different places was just amazing experience. And like I said, they had the option to work abroad, and yeah, couldn't resist making that happen.
Yeah. What were some of those early lessons from your days there that you've been able to carry forward with you as your, and we'll talk more about how your career evolved into what you do today. But what were some of those early lessons during those, kind of that new technology, but all that scandal-ridden environment that you kind of were introduced to?
Yeah, interesting question, actually, because a lot of what I learned from Ernst Young and Deloitte and working at Big Four, which I thoroughly enjoyed and was a huge influence in my life, actually influenced my reason to move away from large corporate consulting, because one of the big lessons learned around big corporate consulting is the frameworks, the toolkits, the methodologies, applying a good, consistent way of delivering things, particularly in the technology space, which was huge learning for me. I loved it. It really set me up with the ways to manage large $100 million transformation programs, big ERP system implementations from Workday to SAP to PeopleSoft to thousands of people at a time. Since then, I actually found that customizing that and tailoring it to customers is much more fun and exciting for me, especially when you're working with small, medium businesses, because then you can, for a start, make decisions quicker, but then also help them and see some real growth.
Yeah, you probably see far more immediate results, I would say, in the SME environment than you would in the large corporate.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Just different clients. my personal journey in the small, medium business space now, but at the time, great experience. And I still do some consulting for large corporates as well. And there is always a place for helping smaller teams within large corporations.
Right. Yeah, a little bit of kind of entrepreneur of the entrepreneurial business, right? What, so through your time in that organization, what was the catalyst that said, okay, I want to break out on my own? How and at what part of your journey did you do that? Were you still in Toronto, or had you moved to Calgary by that point?
Yeah, we moved to Calgary. So my wife got the opportunity to move over. I followed, and then had the opportunity to work for Deloitte for a few years, and just realized that it'd be great to do this for ourselves, great to work together more often. So in 2017, that's when we launched the We Deliver Your Vision business. And my wife does all the marketing, advertising, and sales. And then I help with the delivery and run the integration and delivery team. So we get to work together pretty much every day, but also—
Very cool.
Yes, exactly. But also work with some large and small enterprise. So we get to choose who we work with, which I really like. So have that variety. And it's just having more autonomy over your time, choice. I mean, on the flip side, you have choices to make every day, because you have to make choices, either nothing or nothing happens.
Yeah, for sure. And good for you, because, there's lots of people like, I can never work with my spouse, but it actually sounds like there was almost an intentionality with you guys. So obviously your wife is in the marketing and advertising space, and I'm assuming that's what brought her over to Calgary. But yeah, just to have that intentionality to say, hey, let's do this together. And it is fun and exciting, right?
Yes. And uncomfortable. It's, at the end of the day, I've learned a lot around getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the biggest growth in our lives, my life, my wife's life, our lives together, has been when we've gone through something uncomfortable. And I'll always remember the night before leaving for Canada. It was probably years in the making, but it came around once it happened, it came around very quickly. And the night before, I was actually physically sick because I was so nervous and worried about what we'd done. But it was daunting. But when we landed in Toronto, saw the big sign with the -10 and the snow in November, and thinking, what had we done? But very quickly realized it was one of the best things we've ever done. Yeah. That being uncomfortable created the biggest growth, because although English-speaking, westernized country, it's still a new culture to learn, new currency, new way of doing things. And that's been huge to help us do that sort of thing more often.
For sure. And I would probably say that's also part of, your business model at We Deliver Your Vision is encouraging the people you're working with to stretch, right? Yes. And get out of those areas of comfort, because you are 100% correct. That's where the magic happens.
Yes.
Right. So how do you do that with some of your clients when you're working with them?
Number of ways, actually. The couple of ways that spring to mind are always asking for feedback. I'm a big fan of understanding how we are doing, and that's often uncomfortable, because I don't know about you, but I'm not always comfortable with receiving feedback, either positive or negative. It's still equally uncomfortable. But you really do get the insight into how you're doing, and you sometimes have to ask a number of times. And a lot of the projects I've worked on previously had check-ins with clients and managers and bosses and things, but I make it a practice to check in not only with my clients but also my team, and just asking, is there a different way of doing these things? Another question I love asking my clients is, what's most important to you right now? Because typically the thing we were brought in to solve, improving customer satisfaction or increasing sales or implementing a system, is often not the real reason or problem that they need to solve. And you only get to know that by building a relationship, working with them, and really uncovering what they're needing to do in their business.
Yeah, I love that, John, actually, because I think, you've nailed it and you've lived it, right? Which is, hey, we need you to help us with this. And then after some exploratory and some conversations and the learning takes place, it's like, no, that's just a symptom of a problem way over here, right? Yeah. and that's exciting. And when you first set up We Deliver Your Vision, was it mainly focused around technology, or was it more holistic, I guess?
It was technology. I love technology. I love the feeling of power and control that you have with technology, which I know sounds a bit strange, but by background, I'm a bit of a nerd and a geek. Always loved coding ever since I was 13 with my Commodore 64, if anyone remembers those, and my radio controlled cars and Lego Technics kits. I love those technical building things. And then from there, I just love the magic that you can create with technology, because literally by typing on a keyboard, you can make things happen, albeit from simple things like streaming a movie all the way through to controlling robots to build buildings and construction sites and cars. It truly is amazing what you can do with just interpreting your typing your keyboard, even now just talking to computers about what you'd like to do.
I actually had a conversation a few times now with ChatGPT on my drives. And at one point, I actually had to get mad at it because it kept interrupting me. So the world is changing. I think if to summarize, I think number one is the biggest sticking point with any integration is the people involved, right?
Yes. So I actually flip that a little bit on its head. So people go through change, absolutely, but I find that good people are let down by a bad process. So the best people in the world on your team won't perform to their full capability without process, guidelines, targets, goals. And I'm not talking about bureaucracy. I'm not talking about slowing people down, but giving people the way to work will unleash them to really deliver more results.
Yeah, that's great. And so that is part of your deliverable then when you get in with the business, is really working through starting with those processes and making sure that the people that are implementing them have the support to even understand what they're being asked to do.
Exactly. And that's why we use a 5-step framework for delivering any technology, but particularly AI right now. And it starts with the map it. We map the current processes, we map the current business activities to the goals. Then we get into fix it, stage 2, which is you'll get quick wins just by unblocking a constraint, streamlining your process, removing an approval cycle. There's some quick wins you can get in the fix it, stage 2. And that is then before stage 3, which is then you get into the technology, and particularly AI, is secure it, govern it, make sure you're picking the right safe tool for privacy before you get into the real build, stage 4, and then grow it in stage 5.
Got it. How important are those quick wins in getting buy-in from the people you're working with?
Oh, huge. I mean, I'm sure you're the same. I love a process. I'm the process guy. However, like anyone, we all have an attention span. We all have that dopamine hit that we need to know that we're heading in the right direction, getting something back from our hard work, and recognition for everything we're doing. So I make a point of what I call it is the first value in a project. And I do it for my own projects and also client projects. And the secret I learned a few years back is to ask the client, what is the first value? What is the first win that you would like to see from this project? Because as consultants and teams that come in, we like to think we're the experts. We know what you want. We're going to give you the result that we know you need. When in reality, just by asking them, yes, they may need that big project, but in reality, they may just need, hey, we just need this report in 3 weeks' time, which will really help clear up the inventory reporting to our sales team.
So how important is it then to, obviously you need buy-in at the top. How often have you seen the person you first, or maybe that group of people you first connect with, think they know what their operational teams know? Like how many times do you have to peel the onion back every now and then to actually get to the simplest problem possible? Because I know I've been guilty of that, right? When you're leading a team, you look at it, you see some of their struggles, you assume you know what their problem is. But they look at it through a totally different lens, right? And what you think is the problem might be totally different from what their problem legitimately is.
Yes. And you asked me how often do I have to do that? And I would say every time to varying degrees, because typically the person bringing you in exactly that has a vision of what we want to do versus the people on the ground who are experiencing a different set of problems. And our job as business advisors, consultants, or even just working in a company is pulling back what really matters to the people where it matters most. And a great example of that is I was brought into a manufacturing company to increase the customer satisfaction. Customers were complaining about late shipping, late product delivery, short shipping on the orders. So the sponsor, the COO, said, we need to just make sure we deliver on time. When I got talking to the team, what we actually realized is it wasn't actually about the shipping or the warehouse. It was actually about the sales team selling products that weren't in stock. So by creating a quick dashboard to give the sales team an up-to-date inventory of all the products in stock, they could only sell what was in stock or at least give heads up for things that weren't in stock. And customer satisfaction went back up to where it should be, nearly 100%.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Data drives decisions, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the most exciting things that we're even seeing in our world now is the incorporation of data dashboards, right? It's when you can make decisions based on good quality information, the quality of those decisions go through the roof. I love hearing that something as simple as that improved customer satisfaction, back up where everybody wants it, right?
Yeah.
Do you work in the construction industry at all? And I say that selfishly because that's the industry I'm in.
A little bit. I have my own personal construction industry. We're rebuilding our own house right now, and we've done many renovations ourselves. So I'm near and dear to the residential industry for sure. But mostly we work in manufacturing, financial services, and energy, and some healthcare as well.
Yeah. Like I know in the construction industry, and you probably see this elsewhere as well, I've always done it this way, so I'd really just like to keep doing it this way. How often do you have to sell, I guess, and I say that with bunny ears, sell that technology can really make their lives better?
So just to expand on that a little bit, so you're talking about how to sell the technology to an industry?
Sell maybe it's even just the concept that technology it's a tool, right? And it's a tool that if we embrace it appropriately can really be made to do incredible things. I believe that. Are we kind of there as a society now in business, or is there still those odd little quagmires? Like I view construction through that lens. I think it's getting better, but it is that old school mentality of, but I still need shovels, rakes, and a hoe, right?
Yeah. And the same with manufacturing. Well, same with any industry to varying degrees. I mean, telecom, financial services, IT technology companies, they're out there. They're building the new edge, have to adopt technology. But then even a lot of manufacturing in back office, there's a lot of technology, but machining, assembly, the shop floor, there's a lot of technology, but it's production technology, not necessarily IT systems. It's not AI yet. I mean, at the end of the day, AI will truly touch pretty much every single industry in various different ways. From even if you're not directly using AI, you might be manufacturing products, even the components for robots that are using AI. So it is crazy, truly, right? It is truly going to affect everyone. But this is where I always go back to technology, is back to the dog agility analogy, is that when I'm running my dog around an agility course, she's looking for me to give the instructions, because as a border collie, she's super smart and super fast. So she will do anything, anywhere, very quickly. My job is to guide her to the right obstacle in the right order, in the right sequence, to make sure that she does it correctly. Same with technology. It truly can do anything, but you need to guide it to do the right things in the right order to ultimately achieve your goal of growing the business or reducing cost or risk.
Yeah, I love that analogy. You touched on it. Let's just go there a minute. Dog agility. I've got a Labrador Retriever. I had one previous. She was very agile. This one currently, not so agile. She's the English Lab version, so she eats, sleeps, and drools. Yeah, but I love, so how many great lessons have you taken away? Like there was one right there where it's like this, there's a direct link between what I'm doing with my border collie here and business. How often do you find those links with being able to do something you love and then bring it back into your business life?
Oh, all the time. And I mean, a great example was running a trial a couple of weekends ago. You always get the course map the day before to review, and then you know where to run your dog around the course. But so you map it out, plan it out. Okay, I'm going to cross here, go behind the dog here, in front of the dog here, jump to so you have to go through 20 obstacles, and repeating some of them in different ways. So then you get to the real world course. Typically you can walk the course for about a minute and practice, and then you go, oh, okay, I thought it was this, but I should actually stand here, and because of this here and this direction, how fast the dog's moving, I need to move here. And then you get into actually running the course, when you actually run it for real, because walking the course, you're not running it with a dog. Then you're running a course and it's a whole different ballgame. So what I learned there is it's all around have a plan for sure, but be prepared for the change, which I know sounds like a cliche, but it really is a case of just be prepared to adapt. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no failure of not doing the planning correctly, but it is truly understanding, okay, things will change. Life's complicated. People have emotions and different drivers. Just be prepared for curveballs coming in.
Yeah, that's another great place actually to go with this right now. What's your dog's name quickly before I go there?
The agility dog is called Kyla.
Okay. Love it. Fantastic. When we talk about change, so iterations, different versions, do people often look at technology as a kind of come in, fix it once, and this will solve all my problems?
Yes.
Do they? Yeah. Yes, that was quick. So how do you get the message across that, again, it's a tool, right? And that tool will not only will it change as updates come and everything else, and just technology in general changes, your processes might change. Like there's such a fear, I think on my end anyways, that when you implement something and you pay your bill, right? You think, okay, that's it. You wipe your hands, we're done. See you in 10 years.
Right.
That's not the case.
Yes, and especially with how technology's evolved over the last 10, 15 years, because there was a time when corporate work had the best technology. At home, we had okay PCs on our desks, but that was it. But now we have, as consumers, we have access to everything, all the latest AI and the phones and the iPads. We can do pretty much everything that a corporation can, just on a slightly different scale. And that expectation of our consumer access to technology is now passed into the workplace. So I can get a new phone upgrade through the store if I need to. So I expect that of my business as well. And then same with the applications. If it doesn't work, I'll download an app and then change it out for a different app. And while that's much more difficult in a corporation, the expectation there is, well, why can't we change it? So, and the vendors, bless them. I used to be a software salesperson as well, so I know exactly where they are, and they have the toughest job in the world, but also great people. They often sell the idea, the vacation of you can implement this software in a weekend and be up and running on Monday morning with this brand new shiny tool, which is going to change your world. In reality, to your point, if you're doing it in isolation, yes, that's the case, but corporations are not done in isolation. You have to consider all the other departments and everyone else who's going to use the system.
Yeah, we see that quite often in our industry. We have a business where we deal in water conservation. And one of my biggest pet peeves right now is just the whole terminology of smart irrigation technology, right? It's only as smart as the person using it. And with some of the people we've been working with, we're already seeing those old habits creep back into the new systems, which is, used to be you put a controller on the wall, you set it and forget it, right? Now it's being promoted as, okay, now we have the fancy new controller with all the new fancy technology. It can do all this stuff, all the sensors. I'll set it and forget it. So, and then there's no iterations from that. And, probably similar to what you were just talking about.
I like to treat IT, AI, any technology as a member of my team. Truly, when you're bringing on someone to your team, you are onboarding them with here's how we work, here's what we expect on a day-to-day basis, and then you do periodic reviews, you check deliverables, make sure they're happy and working towards the goals of the company. Same with technology. You're onboarding a system, financial reporting. What do you need it to do? How do you need it to work? And then you need to review it every quarter or 6 months to say, is it achieving the goals of the business we expect? Are my people able to use it as I want them to? So you're doing those performance reviews on your technology to make sure it's tuned and delivering. And more importantly, you're getting the return on your money that you've spent on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so are you then seeing, I think maybe a way I could phrase it, are you seeing technology become ingrained in the culture of businesses now?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So yes, there's what I call is the institutional blindness. So this is where you tend to habitualize, you tend to follow the crowd. And this is perfectly normal, by the way. Human beings are tuned to follow the crowd because when we're back in the Stone Ages, Dark Ages, whatever you want to call it, it's safety in numbers. It's safety in not venturing outside the camp into the dangerous wilderness. And that's still ingrained in human psychology. So typically at work, we follow the norms, we follow the practices of the business, which you need because you don't need to take crazy actions and do weird things. But on the flip side, you also need to not take the technology or any process for granted because otherwise habits fall in and then you end up not getting everything you need from it.
Right. So in order to bring it in and treat it with respect, I guess, how would you encourage, I guess, somebody running a business to kind of take first steps? Like I had this conversation with somebody else where I think often now with technology, we think IT, right? And most of what we find in the IT is security. That they're easy to find. A lot harder to find kind of what we're talking about, right? That implementation side of technology. For somebody that is interested in exploring this as an option, what's just a good first safe step for somebody to take to, kind of feel comfortable, I guess, in a way?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of anyone implementing anything is knowing about it. So I use a model of 3 A's, which is awareness, adoption, and then alignment. So I use this for the AI work that we do. So awareness is just spend an hour a week becoming aware of AI or a new technology or something you want to achieve. Just spend an hour on YouTube. Even if it's AI you want to learn more about, watch robots falling over and messing up, but you'll learn from the experts because there's so much great free resources on somewhere like YouTube or reading online. Then start to adopt it. Just try it out. Pick a tool, even if it's just the ChatGPT, to start using it. And then you can get into some more advanced workflows like N8N, where you're piecing together workflows to take a report, push it to an email, review it in ChatGPT, and come up with a management reporting summary. And then the alignment is then bringing your teams on board. So once you've got a good understanding of it, is then say, hey team, we need to move in this direction because I think it would help the company. Get their input. Back to your point around implementation, I'm all for people doing what they need to grow their business, but back to the theory of constraints is you can't do everything. So if you're that implementation guy, go for it, but just know that you won't be also the visionary, you won't be the CEO, you won't be the COO at the same time. So either rely on your team or external help and advisors to work with that, but just know your strengths and know who can do it best.
Yeah, and I've sat in a few rooms now where when you walk out of it, maybe it's a talk on AI and I want to go there now. People walk out just so enthused thinking, this is going to solve all of my problems. And so with AI, I don't know about you, but it just seems like I can't even get my handle on what the definition of it is anymore. How do you define AI in today's society?
So right now, the definition I use is it's predicting outputs. So it's making predictions for you. And that's the generative AI that's generally available now. The ChatGPTs, Copilots, the Claudes, Manus, they're predictive. They take a pattern of internet data and then they make a prediction. So happy birthday to you is what they're doing, but on a massive scale. What's moving away from this, what's growing is, how can it then take that information and actually start to make educated guesses, predictions about what next? And this is where it starts to use robots in the home to cook, do your ironing for you, or load the dishwasher. So it really is starting to build out in terms of, what can we take it to next? Then in the future, and they're talking about anything from maybe 3 to 5 years, is when you get artificial general intelligence, where AI can truly think for itself. It doesn't need to give predictions anymore. It doesn't need to be given instructions. It's just given an overall goal of, we need to grow the business. And then it takes that and says, here are some options. Here's what will work well based on the situation. Here's where we go. And that's a big unknown for everyone, including myself. I don't know where that's going to go. I'm excited for it, but right now it's a case.
Did you just say 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, it's getting scarily close. It's every time I look at the research,
excited, and that put the fear of God in me when you just said that.
Yeah, they're talking about robots being available now within 2 years in the home. Like they'll be. I think you can buy a robot now for about $3,000 or $4,000. And they're basic. They're learning. They don't have the full dexterity of human hands yet, but it's moving so fast. If you follow Tesla and some of the robots they're building, it's incredible.
So that's actually an interesting thing too. I was just reading, actually, I'm sure you've probably been reading on Elon Musk and the CEO compensation package. That's all over the news right now. His $1 trillion proposed compensation package. Yeah. Of course, based on meeting the metrics. But that from what I understand and read is that the primary focus of Tesla is obviously going to be getting to a even more autonomous vehicle, but robots is where their focus is going to be shifting to. So, or maybe not shifting isn't the right word, but really drilling down into.
Well, Tesla's got a lot of aspects actually, because not only do they control the information through the satellites and the internet available anywhere, but then also rockets going to Mars, the autonomous vehicles, but then also the compute power. So they're building their own compute power to power the AI for Grok and XAI, and then also the robots as well. So they are truly building out each of the disciplines to set themselves up for that $1 trillion pay package goal of 10xing the company.
Wow. Does Elon Musk scare you?
He fascinates me. I personally would not take personal advice, marriage advice from him, but I would take business advice from him. I think to do what he's doing takes an amazing business acumen, which, quite frankly, I don't think anyone's ever seen before, and that's why he's building this company. I was seeing how Nvidia is getting up to 4 trillion market cap today, this week, which is just insane, and Tesla being at, I think it was 2.5, and they want to get to 10. They're going to catch that up very quickly.
Well, and the funny thing is with the guy, and I'm with you. To me, I get more inspiration out of Elon Musk than I do fear out of a guy like that. I think there's so many lessons we can take away, and probably if we could capture 10% of what he does in a day, we'd all be high performers. Yeah. But, it's funny because even when you think about, and I believe he'll do it. I think he's going to get the package. I think he's going to do it probably in a shorter time frame than anybody thinks could be done. And I think he's going to do it just simply on the merit of he just has no fear of failure. And it's kind of an exciting thing to watch. He just keeps going all in. Yes.
And like you say, whether you like him or not, it's more use that model for inspiration. It really is a trace of, okay, what is your vision out there? And I love that for over my life, I've had mentors and coaches and
Sure.
business advisors myself, because you don't know everything. So why not speak to someone who's been there, done that? And there's some great websites. Even I was just on a website the other day where you can hire the advisors for just an hour or half an hour at a time. It's almost like the Uber for business coaching advice.
Isn't that funny? Eh?
Yeah, it's called, the app's called Minect. I think it's a brainchild of Patrick Bet-David, who does a lot of entrepreneur. Yeah, so he's spun up Minect, and you go online on your app, pick a coach, book them for 15 minutes, half an hour, and just get some real instant access to business advice.
That's brilliant, actually. Yeah, that's really neat. Do you have any, you mentioned Patrick Bet-David. Do you have any authors that have provided inspiration, over the last 25 years in where you're at today?
Yeah, the Austin Kleon wrote Steal Your Work, I want to say, or Steal Like an Artist. And that was interesting to me, because coming up through most people's careers and my own career is you had to build it yourself. I always remember my first job coming out of university after studying electrical engineering. I was writing a program to select customers for a customer survey. So we had to randomly pick customer numbers from a customer database. I spent a long time building a random number generator, and I was using time to do it, like the seconds of a clock, and pick a number. And then someone came by and said, you do know the random number generator is a standard function in the Pascal code that you're using. And it's just talk to people is the message, because guarantee someone's done it. And if they haven't done it, they'll probably know someone who does. So that was a real hard lesson right in the start of my career, which I've applied ever since, to say, okay, if I don't know the answer, who can I talk to? And that's why I like also Dan Sullivan, the Canadian business coach.
Okay, sure.
Who wrote Who Not How, because we often default to how, whereas find the who. Who can help me with this? Who can advise? Who can help me work through this?
Well, it's not very often we're gonna be the ones encountering the problem for the first time, right? And there's a saying that I really believe in, which is learn in 10 minutes what took someone else 10 years.
Yes.
And I love that. It is who, not how. There's resources out there, and everything is at our fingertips now as well. So, that's great advice for sure. What keeps you grounded? So you talked about your agility with your dogs, and that, I'm sure that is a fun endeavor. Probably keeps you pretty busy too, I would think.
It does, yes.
Yeah. What else gets you going or keeps you grounded?
Well, my wife for a start, but yes, my dogs for sure. It's being grateful. I mean, ever since my wife did suffer the cancer diagnosis, survived, she then was diagnosed again in 2013 and survived breast cancer. So we are very near and dear to life is too short. So it is a case of just being grateful every day. I'm not always my best. Sometimes things get overwhelming, frustrating. I might throw a mini tanty, as some people would call it. But so again, it's just recognizing you're going through that, and whatever you need to work through it. So if you need to walk away and spend some time just being quiet alone to then come back to the situation, then that's different from someone else who just needs to talk it out and work through it in a much more brainstorming way. And I found that depending on the day, depending on how much has happened the week, I'll react differently to the same situation. So just stepping back and remembering that has been very helpful. I've also found over the last few years, meditation, finding time for even just 5 or 10 minutes to just take a moment for breathing and literally grounding yourself in the moment. And then also hypnosis as well. I've tried hypnotherapy, which I like. Really? I like. I see it as meditation on steroids, because the difference between meditation and hypnosis is meditation is about being focused, present, mindful. Hypnosis is that plus achieving something, giving up smoking all the way through to business growth, to being more decisive, or whatever your goal is.
That is, I haven't heard that one yet. I've heard, people often do talk about meditation, hiking, spending time with their animals, their spouse. I love hearing that, what was a near tragedy with your wife has obviously led you to a better understanding of probably who you are, who she is, and who you are as a couple, right? And the word grateful, I was just having lunch with somebody today, and we actually toss that around a lot, which is, how are you starting your day? And wouldn't it be great to start your day just by saying, here's what I'm grateful for today, right? And approach each day with a mindset of abundance of the things that we do have rather than the things we don't.
Yeah, another little thing I like to do is just reflect on the day. I don't always do this. I like to think I do, but I don't. But more often than not, I'll think back on what went well today, what could have gone better, and then how am I going to make tomorrow awesome? How am I going to make tomorrow better?
Yeah. What do you keep grounded, you have your dogs, and I'm just going to ask heavy metal. So are you a metalhead?
I am, yes. Believe it or not.
So it was in kind of your bio that you provided, and I always find that. So how heavy metal are we talking here?
So not thrash or grindcore. So I'm talking about 80s. So big fan of Iron Maiden, most of Metallica, the big stadium bands, Def Leppard, and also got into the grunge, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. So that's what tends to move me is the guitar, the electric guitar really helps me, is grounding for me. But I like the movement it inspires.
Does it get you going too?
Yeah.
Yeah. little hard rock. It just motivates, right? Have you had the opportunity to see any of these guys live? And I'm thinking especially in the UK. Everybody talks Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to see any of these guys?
Yeah, I saw Def Leppard at Wembley Arena, which is the smaller, but it's the venue right next to Wembley Stadium. And then I saw Guns N' Roses at the old Wembley Stadium before it was rebuilt. This was when they're at their prime in '92 before they imploded. But that was an amazing experience because 80,000 people in a stadium was just a phenomenal. Saw ZZ Top in Milton Keynes Bowl, which is a big open air bowl in Milton Keynes. That was an experience as well.
Wow. Yeah, there is nothing. I saw U2 at Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona probably 30 years ago. And, to all the Swifties out there, they've all been traveling the globe, seeing Taylor and in all these massive venues as well. It's an event, right?
Yeah. I was a friend I was over in Virginia visiting a client a couple of weeks ago, and a friend is Metallica on their current M72 tour, which is still going 3 years later or whatever. It's insane how they're still touring. Anyway,
I don't understand how they do it.
I know. It's insane. They still sound good. That's the thing. That
totally.
James Hetfield's voice is still going fairly strong. It's not the strongest of voices of singing, but it sounds consistent and hits the mark. So anyway, the tickets were going for several thousand. It's not a cheap tour. Several hundred minimum. But what you found, the trick was that the friend actually found the tickets were on Facebook. He looked up just a couple of days before, and they had the cancellation and got to go for about $50. So
get out.
Saw Metallica for $50.
Wow. Yeah, and it's incredible to me that those guys, whether it's them or the Rolling Stones, I think Jagger's over 80 now. And all that goes through my mind is you think about everything they put in their system.
Yes.
They shouldn't even be alive anymore, probably, let alone doing what they're doing on stage. So it's almost inspirational in a weird sort of way.
I was watching an interview with Kirk Hammett, the lead of Metallica, and he was saying how, yes, all those days of the drink and the drugs, and now they're mostly sober because they have to be from a health life point of view. And he was saying how amazing it is to do a gig and actually be present, hear the crowd, hear the music, and be conscious all the way through the show. And he said, it's amazing. It's a whole new lease of life for playing music.
Isn't that funny? It's like they're starting over again. They weren't even, were they even present at all those shows that they did over those years?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Probably don't even remember half of them.
Yeah, I owe to have gone through that, but in another life, maybe.
in another life. John, I want to ask you a closing question here. And you've shared, some really great insights. I think not only on the technology side, but just life in general, which is what I really value about, having this opportunity to do this podcast and bring some of those inspirational insights in. What does delivering your vision mean to you personally? And I'm going to phrase that in two different ways: the business, but also your vision on a personal level.
Yes, it goes back to the E-Myth book, which I read many years ago, with the entrepreneur myth around there's visionaries and there's integrators, generally speaking, in businesses. And the visionaries are the big ideas. We're going to go and conquer Mars and the big goals. And then the integrators are the people who make it happen, who actually deliver on it and are into the process technology and delivering. And I'm a self-confessed integrator. I do have visionary aspects. I'm learning to be more visionary with the goals. But back to your question is, from a life point of view, is yes, always having some 3 to 5 year goal, which for us is now building the house and a bigger plan to figure out how we live and work in different countries going forward. And then from a business, having those 6 months to year goals to work towards, because without a goal, we truly don't have purpose. You need something to work towards. It's in our human instinct to achieve, but also strive.
That's perfect. Yeah, great way to wrap that up. John, I want to thank you for your time today. I do look forward to meeting you in person. I know we were going to try to do this in person, but whether you're coming down or I'm coming up, I'm in Calgary often, and it would be great to connect for a coffee and get to know you a little bit more. But I think it was Brandy Old that suggested that we connect. So we thank Brandy for that. And yeah, thank you for your time today, taking time out of your busy schedule, and look forward to connecting again soon.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Next time you're up in Calgary, I'll certainly buy you a coffee or a beer. And we'll talk more about 80s music and metal.
Yeah. Can I say this? Can I say a cup of tea? Spot of tea.
A cup of tea. And then you put the milk in first and then the tea.
Oh, see, and I do it back. I do like milk and tea, actually. So, well, I got some lessons to learn. I appreciate that. So, yeah, we will connect soon. I look forward to it.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks, Randy.
All right. Take care.